Hi everyone, and welcome to Tech in 5 Minutes. Today, we'll talk about React.js and React Native. React.js is a front-end web development library, while React Native is a framework of React.js, adapted to building mobile apps. Sounds familiar, right? Stay right here. We'll use our team's experience to help you figure out the differences. Let's start by reviewing their functionality. First, React.js is a library, while React Native is a framework. Libraries, including React.js, have a memory of thousands of most used class definitions. It's enough for you to name the element, and React will create it. A framework contains just the guideline where all these components should go. It has a ready-to-use control flow and a designed application structure, so developers can use ready templates. Using a library does grant you more freedom. The framework, however, limits the number of choices but speeds up the development process. The second point to review is Document Object Model. Both in React.js and React Native, DOM only updates the components that have been edited. DOM compares the previous version of the document to a new one, detects differences, and makes changes. React uses the combination of JavaScript and HTML to create and render web front-end code. React Native works similarly, but it doesn't use HTML for rendering. Instead, it turns to native Android and iOS components. 3. Animations. In React.js, web applications are animated with third-party components, so developers can download modules that modify the app's CSS. In React Native, the framework offers its own custom tools. You can download tools for setting up responses to user gestures, creating layered animations, and enabling native, animated user experience. 4. Developers' tools. React.js is known for its rich ecosystem, often considered the best in the world. We understand that this kind of statement may be controversial, so hit the comment section and tell us, are you in love with React or absolutely hate it? In fact, Facebook releases a lot of official instruments, and the user community contributes actively as well. Technically, you can get by without ever employing additional utilities. React Native supports React.js tools as well. 5. Navigation. For React.js, the go-to option is a reach router, a library that developers use to move between pages. For React Native, this is accomplished with a navigator. The component handles even complex mobile applications with multiple scenes as well. 6. Platform-specific code. React.js builds front-end that can be adapted to desktop, mobile devices, and tablets. In React Native, adapting a native app to iOS and Android simultaneously is definitely the main challenge. How does a platform manage to deliver a native experience? React Native allows users to write separate code sets for each platform and run them in different DOMs. You can switch between writing run everywhere code and specific code bases anytime. When it comes to mobile development, we also recommend comparing React Native and Ionic. We have a detailed blog post on the topic, so check the link in the description box if you are interested. Let's move on. 7. Publishing. React engineering allows storing a web app's build in the build directory. All users can set up an HTTP server for their systems and set up paths to the file. React Native deploys applications in Android Studio and Xcode. Let's now review the main benefits that each of the contenders brings to the projects. We'll start with the advantages of React.js. 1. Virtual DOM for faster development. React doesn't engage the browser's object model, but makes a virtual copy, where all the updates are uploaded, so the main DOM doesn't get affected. React technology merely substitutes the modified section of the page, leaving the rest unchanged. 2. Reusable components. React.js is a library where all components are stored independently. You can simply copy-paste components without worrying about their effects on the entire system. 3. One-direction data flow. Developers can isolate the impact of their changes by allowing changes only for particular components. Unwanted updates will not affect the entire system. And what are the disadvantages of React.js? 1. The development process can be overwhelming. React.js lets developers add components without describing them in detail. Under such circumstances, it's easy to add unnecessary functionality, incorporating needless elements into the application. Also, since it's not a framework, React.js doesn't offer a predefined structure. The team is on their own when it comes to organizing elements. 2. JSX as a React coding language. The need to learn JSX makes the React learning curve longer. Developers cannot start developing with only JS knowledge. 3. Poor SEO. If you are considering React.js for dynamic pages and single-page applications, keep in mind that you need to customize your content accordingly to Google's guidelines. Let's now move on to the advantages of React Native. 1. Usage of JS for mobile development. JavaScript is the most popular development language right now, and it still keeps growing. By far, more than 67% of developers use JavaScript. Many of our clients find it simpler to hire React.js developers instead of separate teams for native mobile development. 2. Improved performance. React Native is integrated with native instruments and React Native state components for iOS and Android development. Developers can separate their codebase into reusable and non-reusable fragments to save time, and yet stay highly responsive. 3. The mix of the best React.js features. If you have worked with React.js, you have multiple advantages in getting started with React Native, as opposed to someone new to the ecosystem. There are some disadvantages of React Native, obviously. Let's review them. 1. Native modules have technical issues. If you are actively adopting native modules, you will still need to hire Java and Objective-C developers. Generally, the more native features you want to incorporate, the less cost-efficient your project becomes. 2. A limited number of add-ons. The number of native modules is still lower for Kotlin and Swift, for example. 3. Compatibility errors. If you are considering building an app that requires a highly responsive and dynamic interface, such as a mobile game, 3D assistant, or real-life platform, the framework will still be slower than native tech stacks. So if you are considering building a mobile app for your web project, starting web app development from scratch, or choosing a mobile-first approach, our team can advise choosing React.js and React Native as the 2 core components of your tech stack. This video was prepared by Jelvix, a software development company providing engineering, UI/UX design, testing, and tech consulting services to businesses worldwide. Find our contact information in the description below. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell button.